According to what Jesus taught, hell does not have a set amount of time, but rather exists forever. Those who are tormented in hell are doomed to an eternity of torment. Jesus was quoted as saying, "The fire never goes out." Jesus said this as a warning to people that caused others to stumble. Jesus promises a reward to non-Christians who extend a basic minimum of goodwill to Christians, but he warns Christians with dire judgment if they cause a little one who believes in him to slip. Mark 9:42-50, Amplified Bible. "But whoever so causes one of these little ones who believe and trust in me to stumble, that is to sin or lose faith. It would be better for him if a heavy millstone, one requiring a donkey's strength to turn it, were hung around his neck, and he were thrown into the sea. If your hand causes you to stumble and sin, cut it off. That is, remove yourself from the source of temptation. It is better for you to enter life crippled than to have two hands and go into hell, into the unquenchable fire, where their worm does not die, and the fire is not put out. If your foot causes you to stumble and sin, cut it off. That is, remove yourself from the source of temptation. It would be better for you to enter life lame than to have 2 feet and be thrown into hell, where their worm does not die and the fire is not put out. If your eye causes you to stumble and sin, throw it out. That is, remove yourself from the source of temptation. It would be better for you to enter the kingdom of God with one eye than have 2 eyes and be thrown into hell, where their worm that feeds on the dead does not die, and the fire is not put out. For everyone will be salted with fire. Salt is good and useful, but if salt has lost its saltiness, purpose, how will you make it salty? Have salt within yourself continually, and be at peace with one another." He uses hyperbole to make a point. God appears to care more about the little one's fragile faith than the great one's fragile egos, which cause them to lord it over or ignore others. In this speech, Jesus gives a string of maxims that warn the disciples that they need to be more worried about the evil within them than outsiders. Again, Jesus uses hyperbole. If your hand, eye, or foot causes you to stumble, remove them. Jesus did not plan for followers to take this advice literally, any more than one should take literally Paul's reference to the Galatians' willingness to tear out their eyes for him. Galatians 5:15, Amplified Bible. "But if you bite and devour one another in bickering and strife, watch out that you, along with your entire fellowship, are not consumed by one another." Jesus applies this principle to the disciples' spiritual life. We should take every precaution now and get rid of everything in our life that can tempt us to sin than to be punished later in a fiery Gehenna. To go to hell, into the fire that shall never be quenched. The word hell is an ancient Greek translation of the Hebrew word for Valley of Hinnom. This was a site outside of Jerusalem's walls that had been defiled by the worship of Molech and the sacrifice of humans, and as a result, it was turned into a dump where garbage and refuse was burned. It was a visual and powerful depiction of the end that was in store for those who were doomed, thanks to the raging fires and the festering worms. Hell is also called the lake of fire in Revelations 20:13-15, a place prepared for the devil and his angels, Matthew 25:41. Revelations 20:13-15, Amplified Bible. "And the sea gave up the dead who were in it, and death and Hades, the realm of the dead, surrendered the dead who were in them. And they were judged and sentenced, every one according to their deeds. Then death and Hades, the realm of the dead, were thrown into the lake of fire. This is the second death, the lake of fire, the eternal separation from God. and if anyone's name was not written in the book of life, he was hurled into the lake of fire. A popular Bible commentator said about this verse, "A child with a spoon may sooner empty the sea than the damned accomplish their misery. A river of brimstone is not consumed by burning." Jesus sent a very straightforward message, which was that given how dreadful hell is, it is better to give up anything than to go there. Because of this, it is not sufficient to consider the kingdom of God only in terms of reward. Rather, we must also consider in terms of sacrifice. There is no way out of hell, and neither is there any relief from it, nor any solace to be found there. Luke 16:26, Amplified Bible. And besides all this, between us and you people, a great chasm has been fixed, so that those who want to come over from here to you will not be able, and none may cross over from there to us. To our great good fortune, there is a route out of hell before one even enters it. God extends to us the possibility of restoring our relationship with Him, so that we may avoid ever having to go to hell. This reconciliation was made possible by the crucifixion of His Son, Jesus Christ, and His subsequent resurrection.